you're studying this stuff or maybe have a family history or just find it fascinating, we'll
No.
break it all down.
Yeah.
We're going to really understand how our bodies work, how they regulate glucose, what happens when things go wrong, like with diabetes.
And then we'll look at lipid profiles and what they tell us about heart health.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
So much to cover. First things first. How does our body normally regulate glucose?
Right.
It's like, I don't know, a thermostat for our energy, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, that's a great analogy. Like a thermostat keeps the temperature steady.
Right.
Our body has these hormones that keep our blood sugar just the right level.
Okay.
And the big players here are insulin and glucagon.
Insulin, glucagon, two big names you always hear with glucose.
For sure, yeah.
So the lecture notes say insulin is produced by the beta cells
Beta cells, right?
in the pancreas.
In the pancreas, yeah.
So let's say you just ate something.
Okay.
Your blood sugar goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Those beta cells release insulin.
Right. And then what happens next?
I'm ready. What happens next?
Well, think of insulin as a key.
Okay.
It unlocks the doors to your muscle and fat cells so they can take in the glucose from the blood.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it escorts glucose into those cells.
Like a little escort.
Yeah, exactly. And once inside, the glucose can be used for energy or stored for later.
So basically, insulin brings down blood sugar after you eat.
Right. Brings it back to normal.
Okay, makes sense. But what about when you haven't eaten for a while? Like when your blood sugar starts to dip?
Oh, that's when glucagon jumps in.
Glucagon.
Yeah, it's produced by the alpha cells of the pancreas, so it's like the opposite of insulin.
Like the other side of the coin.
Yeah, and it signals the liver to release stored glucose, that's called glycogen, into the bloodstream.
Okay, so it raises blood sugar.
Exactly. Brings those sugar levels back up.
So insulin and glucagon are like, they work together perfectly to keep everything balanced.
Yeah, it's this amazing dance.
But what happens when this balance gets thrown off? That's where we get into diabetes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a really common condition.
Unfortunately, yeah, it is.
I mean, the sources mention anywhere from 5% to 95% of people can be affected.
Wow.
That's a huge range. Makes you realize how widespread this is.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the different types of diabetes.
Okay, yeah.
We've got type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes.
Right.
Type 1 is an autoimmune disease, right?
That's right, yeah.
So, like, your own body attacks those beta cells in the pancreas.
It's like your body is waging war against its own ability to regulate blood sugar, which is pretty wild.
That's intense. So, if you don't have enough insulin,
Right.
glucose can't get into the cells.
Right, and it builds up in the blood.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
And then what about type 2?
Type 2 diabetes, yeah.
The notes say it's often linked to obesity.
Yeah, that's the most common type, for sure.
And it's kind of a combination of things,
Right.
really.
It's like a two-pronged thing. You have insulin resistance, which is when the cells are like, we're not listening to insulin anymore,
They're like ignoring it.
pretty much.
Yeah,
And then over time, the pancreas starts producing less and less insulin.
so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah, definitely.
So both types lead to too much glucose in the blood,
Yeah, exactly.
which can cause all sorts of complications.
Right, it's not good.
The diagrams in the notes really show how this disrupted glucose uptake plays out in each type.
It's helpful to see it visually.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we talked about type 1 and type 2. Now, what about gestational diabetes?
Gestational diabetes.
Yeah, how is that different?
Well, that one happens during pregnancy.
Yeah, that's right, only during pregnancy.
And it's probably triggered by those hormonal changes, right?
Yeah, those hormones can lead to insulin resistance just like in type 2 diabetes.
So it's similar to type 2 in that way.
Yeah, in that way, yeah.
And it goes away after the baby's born, right?
Usually, yeah, it does.
But I read that it can increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes later.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like it's a warning sign or something.
Yeah, like your body's saying, hey, watch out.
The notes also mention some risks for the baby.
Yeah, like what?
They use this word macrosomia.
Macrosomia, yeah, that means the baby grows larger than average,
Oh, wow.
which can make delivery more difficult and increase the risk of complications.
Gotcha. So mom's high blood sugar affects the baby too.
Yeah, it crosses the placenta, makes the baby produce more insulin and grow faster.
Wow, it's amazing how everything is connected like that.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so we've covered glucose regulation and diabetes. Now, how about we shift gears and talk about lipid profiles?
Lipid profiles. Okay, let's do it.
They're like a sneak peek into our cardiovascular health, right?
Totally. It's like a window into your heart.
So what exactly does a lipid profile measure?
It measures different types of fats in your blood, which gives us clues about your risk of heart disease.
I see.
We're talking about total cholesterol,
Total cholesterol.
LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol.
LDL, right. I've heard of that.
HDL cholesterol, that's the good cholesterol.
HDL, good.
And then there's triglycerides.
Triglycerides.
Lots of different fats to keep track of.
So what is cholesterol exactly, and why are there all these different types?
Okay, so cholesterol is this fatty substance, and our bodies actually need it to build healthy cells.
Oh, so it's not all bad.
No, not at all. We produce some naturally,
Okay.
but we also get it from the foods we eat.
All right, so diet matters.
Definitely. And the different types of cholesterol are really just about how they're packaged and transported in the blood.
Like different delivery trucks.
Yeah, perfect analogy.
So LDL, that's the bad one, right?
The one you got to watch out for, yeah.
Why is it bad? Like, what does it actually do?
Well, think of LDL as the delivery truck that drops off cholesterol at your tissues, including your arteries. And when there's too much LDL in your blood,
Oh.
it can start building up on those artery walls and form plaque.
I've heard of plaque.
Over time, that plaque hardens and narrows the arteries.
Which is not good.
Not good at all. It restricts blood flow, and that increases your risk of heart attacks and strokes.
Yikes. Like it's clogging up your pipes.
Exactly.
And then HDL, that's the good guy because it cleans up the mess.
You got it. HDL is like a garbage truck, picking up that excess cholesterol from the arteries and taking it back to the liver.
Oh, neat.
So having higher HDL is a good thing. It's protective.
Like a cleanup crew.
Yeah, keeping the arteries clear.
So it's a battle between the good and the bad cholesterol.
It's a constant tug of war.
And then we have triglycerides. They seem kind of tricky. What's their deal?
Triglycerides, yeah, they're another type of fat in our blood.
Okay.
We need them for storing energy, but consistently high levels are a red flag.
Okay, so they can be good or bad.
Yeah, kind of depends on the level.
Gotcha. And what problems can they cause?
Well, high triglycerides can contribute to that plaque buildup, just like LDL.
Oh, no.
But they've also been linked to other things like pancreatitis and fatty liver disease.
Oh, wow. So it's important to keep an eye on them.
Absolutely.
Luckily, our notes actually give the healthy and unhealthy ranges for all these lipid types.
Oh, that's handy.
It's like a cheat sheet.
It is.
Okay, now there's this equation in the notes for estimating LDL cholesterol.
Estimating LDL.
Yeah, why would we need to estimate it? I thought the lipid profile measures it directly.
Right, but this equation comes in handy if you only have certain values from your lipid panel.
Okay, like what?
So if you know your total cholesterol, triglycerides, and HDL, you can plug them into this equation and get a pretty good estimate of your LDL.
That's cool. What's the formula?
All right, so it's LDL equals total cholesterol minus triglycerides divided by 5 minus HDL.
Oh, okay, so it's not too complicated.
But too bad, right?
So, like, say your total cholesterol is 200.
Okay, 200.
Triglycerides are 150.
150. All right.
And HDL is 50.
The 50.
So you divide triglycerides by 5, that's 30.
30.
And then you subtract that and HDL from total cholesterol. So 200 minus 30 minus 50.
Which gives you
Oh, and 120?
120. That would be your estimated LDL.
Wow, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a neat little trick.
Okay, so in this first part of our deep dive, we've covered a lot.
We have.
How our bodies regulate glucose, all the different types of diabetes, and how lipid profiles give us a peek into our heart health.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about fats.
And it's amazing how everything is interconnected, right? Like glucose and cholesterol are part of this bigger system.
Definitely. They all work together.
So it's not just about avoiding one specific disease.
Right.
It's about optimizing our entire metabolic system.
Exactly. Metabolic health is the big picture.
And the best part is we have a lot of control over it.
Yeah, for sure.
Our choices really matter.
They do, yeah.
Whether it's what we eat or how much we move.
It all makes a difference.
It's like we're the drivers of our own health.
Yeah, we're in control.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to that.
It's empowering, isn't it?
Totally. And it makes me think about all the small changes we can make.
Yeah, like what?
Like choosing to walk instead of drive, or grabbing fruit instead of a candy bar.
Yeah, those little things add up over time.
And they can lead to big improvements in glucose regulation, healthier lipid levels.
And just feeling better overall.
Exactly. And we don't have to wait for symptoms to appear before we start taking care of ourselves.
Right. Prevention is key.
And it's not just about us either.
What do you mean?
By understanding this stuff, we can be advocates for our families and communities.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Share this knowledge, encourage others to prioritize their health.
That's a great point. We're all in this together.
Exactly. The more we know, the better choices we can make.
For ourselves and for future generations.
That's a powerful thought. This information is meant to be shared and discussed, not kept secret.
Definitely. Knowledge is power, but only if we use it.
Well said. All right, we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive,
Wow. Yeah, we have.
but we're just getting started. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the signs and symptoms of diabetes,
Okay, sounds good.
learn about how it's diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
and uncover some practical tips for maintaining healthy glucose and lipid levels.
Can't wait. See you in part 2.
See you there. All right, welcome back to our deep dive. So we've covered the basics, but now let's talk about how you can actually spot diabetes, because it can be sneaky.
Yeah, it can be tough to catch in the early stages.
So what are some warning signs people should look out for?
Well, the lecture notes highlight a few key symptoms.
Okay.
Think about it. If your body's struggling to use glucose properly, it's going to start sending out signals.
Right, like red flags.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one common sign is frequent urination.
Oh, okay.
When there's too much glucose in your blood, your kidneys work overtime to filter it out.
So you pee more.
Yeah, more trips to the bathroom.
And I've also heard excessive thirst can be a sign.
Oh, for sure. All that peeing can dehydrate you.
So you're thirsty all the time.
Yeah, constantly reaching for your water bottle.
It's like your body's trying to catch up.
Exactly. Trying to replenish those fluids.
What about unexplained weight loss? Is that connected to diabetes too?
It can be, especially in type 1 diabetes.
Okay.
The body might start breaking down muscle and fat for energy because it can't access the glucose properly.
So even if you're eating normally,
Yeah, you can still lose weight.
that's interesting. And then increased hunger can be another sign too, right?
Definitely. If your cells aren't getting the energy they need from glucose, your body's like, feed me.
Even if you just ate,
Yeah, you're constantly hungry.
it's like your body's always running on empty.
Yeah, pretty much.
The notes also mention slow healing wounds.
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
What's the connection there?
High blood sugar can mess with your body's healing processes.
Like how?
Well, it impairs blood circulation and weakens the immune system.
So wounds take longer to heal.
Exactly. It's harder for your body to repair itself.
So it's not just those classic diabetes symptoms, it can show up in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a chameleon.
Now, what about kids? Any specific signs to watch for in children?
Yeah, frequent bedwetting can be a sign of type 1 diabetes in kids,
Oh, really?
especially if they were potty trained before.
Interesting. So that's something parents should definitely be aware of.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've got a good list of potential warning signs now,
Hmm.
but how do we know for sure if it's diabetes? How is it diagnosed?
There are a few tests doctors use.
Okay,
The lecture notes mention the fasting plasma glucose test
fasting. Okay.
and the oral glucose tolerance test.
What's that one?
For that one, you drink a sugary solution and then they monitor your blood sugar over a few hours.
I see. So they see how your body handles the sugar.
Exactly.
And what about the fasting test?
You basically can't eat or drink anything except water for a certain number of hours.
And then they check your blood sugar.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
The notes also talk about the A1C test.
Oh yeah, the A1C.
What's that one all about?
That one's cool because it gives you a snapshot of your average blood sugar levels over the past 2 to 3 months.
Oh, wow. So it's like a long-term view.
Yeah, like a report card for your blood sugar.
That's awesome. So doctors can really get a clear picture with these tests.
Yeah, they can see what's going on and make an accurate diagnosis.
And early detection is so important, right?
Absolutely. The sooner you know, the sooner you can start managing it.
And prevent complications.
Exactly. Prevention is key.
Speaking of prevention, what are some things people can do to keep their glucose and lipids in a healthy range?
Well, diet and exercise are huge, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say those are the big ones.
But it's not about depriving yourself.
Right.
It's about making smart choices that support your body.
So what kind of foods should we focus on?
Fiber-rich foods are your best friend.
Fiber. Okay.
Think fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, and they digest slowly, so they prevent those big blood sugar spikes after meals.
Oh, I see.
Plus, fiber keeps you feeling full, which is helpful if you're watching your weight.
And I'm guessing we should limit processed foods, sugary drinks, all that stuff.
Yeah, those are the troublemakers.
They're not doing us any favors.
Not really, no.
So it's all about making those healthy swaps.
Exactly. Choosing whole grains over refined grains. Snacking on fruits and veggies instead of chips.
And of course, regular exercise is important too.
Oh, absolutely. Exercise is like magic for your metabolism.
What does it do?
Well, it helps your body use glucose more efficiently,
Okay.
improves insulin sensitivity,
Mm-hmm.
and it can even lower LDL cholesterol and raise HDL cholesterol.
So it's a win-win for your heart.
Totally. It's a double whammy of goodness.
So find activities you enjoy and make them part of your routine.
Yeah, make it fun.
Now, what if diet and exercise aren't enough? Are there medications that can help?
Yeah, there are a variety of medications for both diabetes and high cholesterol.
Oh, that's good to know.
For diabetes, some meds help the pancreas produce more insulin.
Uh,
Others improve insulin sensitivity,
hmm.
and some slow down glucose absorption from food.
Wow, lots of options.
And for high cholesterol, statins are a common one.
Statins, I've heard of those.
They block cholesterol production in the liver.
Oh, interesting.
There are also meds that target triglycerides or boost HDL.
So there's a medication for pretty much everything.
Yeah, medical science has come a long way.
It's amazing. But of course, any treatment plan should be personalized.
Oh, absolutely. Talk to your doctor.
Don't self-treat.
No, never a good idea.
Regular checkups, open communication with your doctor, that's so important.
Couldn't agree more. Be proactive about your health.
So in this part of our deep dive, we've talked about the warning signs of diabetes, learned about the different diagnostic tests,
Right.
and explored some practical tips for staying healthy.
It's all about knowledge and action.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, but we have to use it.
Well said. Ready for part 3?
Let's do it. Welcome back to our final part.
I gotta say, after learning all this, I'm really thinking differently about what I eat and how much I move.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening how much control we have.
It is. We've covered so much ground. From the nitty-gritty of those hormones
Huh.
to the bigger picture of what our lipid profile tells us.
And one thing that's really stuck with me is how connected everything is.
Oh, yeah. How so? Well, you might think glucose and cholesterol are totally separate,
Yeah,
but they're really part of this larger system.
exactly. And when you zoom out and look at that system, what you're really talking about is metabolic health.
Metabolic health. Okay.
Yeah, it's all about how our bodies process and use energy from food.
So it's not just about avoiding diabetes or heart disease.
Right, it's bigger than that.
It's about making sure our whole system is working at its best.
Exactly. It's about optimizing everything.
That's a
Everything.
that's a really cool way to think about it.
And the best part is, we have a lot of power over our metabolic health.
Yeah, we talked about that. Our choices really matter.
They do. From the foods we eat to how active we are.
It's like we're not just along for the ride.
Yeah, we're in the driver's seat.
Knowing that makes me feel like I can actually make a difference.
And you can. It's all about those small, sustainable changes you make over time.
Okay, so what kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, like we said before, choosing to walk or bike instead of driving whenever you can.
Right, those little swaps.
Exactly. Or grabbing a piece of fruit instead of reaching for that bag of chips.
Those healthy choices can really add up over time.
They do. They can lead to better glucose control, healthier lipid levels.
And just feeling more energetic overall.
Yeah, exactly. You'll feel the difference.
This deep dive has really emphasized the importance of being proactive, you know? We don't have to wait till something goes wrong.
Right. You can start taking care of yourself now.
And it's not just about us either.
What do you mean?
By understanding all of this, we can help our families and communities too.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We can share this knowledge, encourage others to prioritize their health.
Absolutely. Knowledge is meant to be shared, not kept to ourselves.
Exactly. The more we know, the better choices we can make.
For ourselves and for future generations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I have a question for you, for everyone listening.
Okay, I'm listening.
What will you do with this knowledge?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Will you use it to make positive changes in your own life?
What steps will you take?
Will you share it with others?
Spread the knowledge
We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity.
and empowered you to take charge of your health.
Remember, knowledge is power, but action is what really makes a difference.
So go out there, make informed choices.
And embrace the journey of lifelong learning.
Yeah, keep learning, keep growing.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible exploration. We'll see you next time